Okay, so today I'm going to be doing my speech on why I believe that eating pork is a major risk health, or a major, yeah, risk health. Okay, risks to your health. So the first thing we're gonna start off is the living conditions of the pig, right? So a pig's job on the farm is to do what? Is to clean up waste, right? As a The pigs they're really the most filthiest animals in the world, right? And whatever the pigs eat, whether it be if they eat really anything. They eat worms, they eat bugs, they eat poisonous snakes. But the point is, whatever they eat, their digestive system is not similar to the digestive system of, say, cow, meaning that they are part of a family known as the non-ruminant family. I think that's how you pronounce it, ruminant, right? Meaning that they only have one stomach compared to like a cow, right? A cow has four stomachs, and it has a stomach that it's called chewing the cud. When the cow eats something, the food first passes through the ruminant, which is the stomach that has toxics in there to be able to break down it separates the nutrients from the toxics, right? And then the toxins are then disposed of, and the nutrients are brought back up into the cow's mouth, swallowed back down into the stomach, and then it's dispersed throughout the cow. And that's how the nutrients goes throughout the cow. Whereas a pig, it only has one stomach, and it digests its food in under 4 hours. So a lot of the toxins that the pig eats, it doesn't get digested out. Instead, it's stored into the fat tissues of the pig, which in turn, we go in the store and we buy the pig, and then the toxins end up inside of our bodies. So pigs are carriers of viruses, several different type of worms. There's roundworms, pine worms, hash worms. And these worms, once they're in your system, it only takes up to a week for them to begin to lay eggs and things of that nature. And then, these eggs, they burrow into your muscles, right? And sometimes you may not have any symptoms. It just depends on you, right? But these symptoms can eventually show after years of living, right? Like you can have some of these worms will end up in your eye, and they can cause blindness, you know what I'm saying? Or they can end up in your brain, they can cause brain cancer. And all of this can easily be avoided by just not eating the pig, because again, the pig does not have the proper digestive system in order to separate the toxins from the nutrients, right? So according to the World Health Organization, processed pig is a big cause of cancer, like processed ham, processed bacon, sausage, and a lot of these things, are people, we don't consider it a bad thing, right? Like, we know smoking cigarettes is bad. You know what I'm saying? We know what's bad, but we don't consider pig a bad thing. And we really should start to look into these things, because the pig is pretty much just like the filter of the earth. Really, that's pretty much the job of a pig. It cleans the earth. Like, for instance, if you have a poisonous snake or something inside of a chicken coop, right? The farmer will literally take all the chickens out, and he'll put a pig in there. And the pig will eat the snake, and the pig will not get poisoned, you know what I'm saying? Because I guess that's just how it's built. That's what it's built to do. It's built to clean up whatever waste or filth you have on your farm. So with that being said, pigs they'll eat their own feces. They'll eat the cancerous growth off of another pig. And then, once again, all of these toxins are then stored into your body when you eat them. And I know a lot of people say that you can cook a pig at a certain temperature to kill off the worms. Does anybody know what that temperature is?
165.
Yeah.
165. Okay, so we got two. So nobody else knows what it is. So we don't know if we're cooking it up to the temperature or below the temperature. You know what I'm saying? But then again, with that being said, there's still really no safe temperature to cook it at to kill all the cysts and the eggs, you know what I'm saying, that those worms lay throughout its time living within a pig. So, yeah, pigs and cows are two totally different animals. The ruminant versus the non-ruminant, two totally different digestive systems. One can decipher nutrients and toxins and separates them, puts them out. That way you won't receive those toxins within your body. And another thing is that the pig, whatever nutrients the pig does get when it digests toxins and the nutrients, you can just get that from any other animal. Like, it's not really a certain nutrient that only the pig produces. You can get that from any other animal. So let's just stop eating pig. That's all I got. Thank you.
That's a good one. It's the same animal too.
Turkey bacon tastes much better.
Wild boar is the same exact animal. The bolt comes from the stalk area of Russia. And so when you get a feral pig and you bring it into the farm, it'll redomesticate in 2 to 3 generations. It's the same animal. And vice versa. If you take a domestic pig, throw it in the wild, it'll go feral within 2 to 3 generations. It's the same exact animal.
Yeah, you know?
Talk about stirring up controversy.
Huh? No, that would have been a good one. And it's tricky.
All right, Michael, you identify the proposition. You had a little bit of trouble getting that wording out and putting it in the right order, but eventually we know what your claim is, which is fine. There's no preview of what the supporting structure is going to be, and in the body of the speech, although it started off that you had a label about what the differences are between pigs, their physical differences. After that, I didn't really catch that there was any supporting structure other than that first description. So that's a little bit problematic. I think on the controversy issue, I think the audience that you just heard responding to what you said believes that there's some controversy on this issue. I think you could probably use a little bit more information to show that there's an argument on this particular point. That, for example, that these products have been precluded in a lot of places, that in order to sell these products there are certain kinds of restrictions, or like you were talking about cooking at a particular temperature at the end, that's required in order to address that. That might suggest that there is in fact some danger here that justifies your talking about this. Like I said, organizationally I thought it was a little bit problematic, but you do explain your assumptions. Most of your assumptions are based on how the pig's digestive system works and their exposure to a variety of potential parasites, infections, bacteria that would be problematic for us. You've got one piece of factual data about the nature of the pig's digestive system in comparison to a cow's digestive system, and you describe that. I have no idea where that information came from. I don't doubt that it's true because I've always heard that about cows, and I never heard that pigs had the multiple stomachs. So I'm pretty much willing to accept that without much proof on it. However, the notion that means that the pig doesn't filter out the toxins that it consumes and that they all end up in the pig's body, that I think I need some proof on. That seems to be a presupposition of the argument, and there isn't any particular reason to believe that it's any more dangerous than any other kind of food that people might eat. And when you get to the preparation issue later, you simply acknowledge that sometimes it just is a matter of cooking the food properly. But by the way, the same problem occurs with lots of foods that people consume, where there are potential infestations of parasites and that sort of thing. So why the pig is particularly unique, I think, needs to be explained, or a demonstration that it's unique. There is no statistical data that talks about the risk level of infection of parasites based on this. You don't have any examples that are real examples of people getting parasites from consuming pig products. You've got some interesting descriptive stories, these parasites, the worms can get in your eyes or they can be in your muscles and all those kinds of things. but I don't have any examples of that you are pointing to, and none of them that are related to having consumed pork products. So I think that that's a big missing link in your argument here. You need to have some proof that that kind of thing occurs because people have consumed pork. That's one of those places where I don't think it would be that hard to find a couple of examples to show that people did in fact get infected from consuming pork products, but you don't have that in here, you just assert it, and I think that's problematic. The only source that gets cited in the presentation at all is the World Health Organization, and the quote there is a little abstract, that it is a potential cause of cancer. I don't know, again, what the statistic is, what the risk factor is on this particular point. I got to be honest with you, I think almost everything we eat potentially could cause cancer if you ate enough of it or it was cooked the wrong way. Every time I put pepper on something, I think to myself, don't tell me this doesn't cause cancer, because damn it, just in my mouth it feels like it's causing something, So, the fact that, but if there's a statistical link, for instance, that the World Health Organization has got some data on this, that's what you need. You just kind of got a vague conclusion on this, and we don't know how big that risk is or how much it happens. And the response speaker, their first response is going to be, I would think, if they are a consumer of pork products, they say, well, I had bacon for breakfast. Last week I ate a whole bunch of bologna, and, I've been eating a variety of pork products, ham sandwiches my whole life. Check my eyeballs, I got nothing going on there. No cancer here as far as I know. And they've provided now as much proof as you've provided. And so that's the problem, that you've created a low standard of proof for the argument, which makes it somewhat easier for somebody to, I just have to match that standard. And now the argument is just a couple of people who are comparing horror stories or denying horror stories without any grounds to really support those things. And I think that's a little bit problematic. I think you do a good job speaking to the audience and explaining things, and you've got some nice vivid descriptions that are going on there. If people were going to react based on the persuasive element of your presentation, they might very well feel like they should refrain from consuming pork products. You kind of have to rely on the hypothetical, that two people in the audience knew what the temperature was. I didn't put my hand in there. I know what the temperature is that you got to cook something at. But by the way, I don't know anybody who cooks food at the temperature, that's that low to kill those products. Almost all foods get cooked at temperatures almost double the temperature that's recommended for killing the potential parasites in pork products. So I mean, it's really one of those things where you're saying, are people doing this? And that would be a good place for some evidence also that people cook at low temperatures or temperatures that would not be enough to prevent this from happening. And the only proof that you have is a couple of people raise their hand in class. That I don't think is a very convincing kind of evidence. It might be something that you could include. I'm not saying you shouldn't include it, but as proof, that's all you've got, and that seems a little weak. All right, thank you.